Hello and welcome to Talking Tunes, the podcast. Does it feel good
We're
to be back?
Yeah. We're back.
My name's Callum,
I'm Jenny.
and it's been a long time. Been a
Yeah.
long time coming.
It's been, 2 years?
Yeah, it was
No, like a year.
a year and a bit.
Yeah, coming up on 2 years.
Yeah, I think we should probably quickly talk about
Yeah,
who we are.
and what we do.
For people who don't know what we did before. The deer's fallen!
Oh dear.
For those watching this,
There
you
you
can.
go.
This is our little mascot.
Yeah, he's a mascot.
Is it a he?
Yeah,
Controversial.
he's a Kinder Egg toy. If you haven't watched us before, we had a live radio show at Bristol Uni for 3 years.
Yeah.
We were the heads of music there together at the station, Burst Radio. And it finished when we graduated in June of last year. So we've not had our show for that long. And we were meaning to do a podcast since second year. And we were going to have all the didn't make it to radio stuff because we would always nearly run over. Well, we would always run over. But we never did that either. But we are here now, and it's not off cuts. It's a proper podcast.
It's an actual podcast.
Yeah.
For those who might have watched or listened to us before even, obviously the format will be a bit different because we're doing it as a podcast instead of a radio show. So we aren't going to be playing music, playing songs for you, because it doesn't really work for a podcast. No. I think instead it's going to be more about our discussions.
Yeah.
But we'll be putting in some sort of interesting things. So we'll be doing games, like quizzes. We'll maybe do like special episodes that are like... Yeah. We can get more creative, basically, because we're not constrained to like...
No, but I think it will be quite like the show, because we did that with the show. We had our, oh my gosh, sorry, he's falling in. We had our themed episodes quite often. So we'll still have that, but yeah, it's obviously going to be different. It's a lot more discussion based.
Yeah, and I'm also quite looking forward to this because, like, we can basically just talk about whatever we want. Obviously with the show, we did do that anyway with the show, to be honest. But I think we were trying to like keep things as professional as possible, and this will still be professional, but it's also it's our show, right? So so the basically the goal of the show is for us to have fun and talk about music whilst doing it, and for you guys to hopefully enjoy listening to us.
Yeah, and we're going to try to do more fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit more about where we are right now.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. So I think, obviously, like you said, we used to be in Bristol on the radio. Do you want to tell us where we are now, Jenny?
We are in Australia, in Brisbane.
Whoa, crazy, crazy. What does that mean for the show?
I guess it means, I think the show's got a bit of a new angle to it than it did when we were at uni. I think when we were at uni, we sort of had our circles that we were quite firmly in. I think now we've done a lot more different stuff. We've got a lot more to talk about in terms of music and in terms of life.
Yeah.
Experiences we've had and such. We've been traveling for coming up on a year around Australia.
Yeah, it's actually crazy how much we've done. It doesn't feel like it's been a year.
No, it really doesn't.
No.
And I feel like I'm ready for a lot more.
Yeah. For anyone who sort of is interested, we started in Melbourne. Was there for a few weeks. Did Sydney for a couple of weeks over Christmas and New Year. That was very cool. And then we flew up to Cairns to work, and we were there for like 6 months.
Yeah, like pretty much to the day.
It's crazy how long we were there for. It still kind of blows my mind because I don't think, it doesn't feel like we were there for that long.
Looking back on it doesn't. At the time when we left, I felt like we had been there forever. But now looking back on it, I can barely remember it now. Like it feels like we were there for like a month. Yeah,
and it feels like we've been here for months instead.
Yeah.
But when we leave here, I'm sure it'll feel like because we're currently in Brisbane, So, and I think that's given us quite a lot to talk about in terms of music in Australia.
Yeah, because we've been around. We've been to a couple of gigs. We've been to festivals. We've interviewed Australian artists, and we've been involved with the Australian industry specifically. So I think it's kind of interesting how it's different / the same as Britain.
I'm looking at my
Are you
microphone.
okay?
Yeah, I'm looking at my little microphone. Sorry. I do agree, though. I think I'm gonna kick off the discussion, if that's okay, about Australian music, because I have one qualm.
Yes.
And that is the sort of Australian underground scene is a bit more divided than in the UK. So I'll explain what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
When we were back in Bristol, especially, Bristol is an amazing city for music, right? Like any night of the week, you could probably go to, let's list a few, like Thekla, Crofters Right, Fleece, yeah, and there'd probably be a gig on one of Louisiana, like all these sort of smaller venues.
Exchange.
Yeah, exactly. And all these places would have on like very affordable, accessible gigs, you know? So like you're not spending £30 for a ticket, you're spending £5 to £10, maybe a bit more if it's a bigger name. And you're getting a really good show, really nice venue, great atmosphere. And that's pretty much any night of the week.
Yeah.
Australia has so much music on all the time, but none of it is of that level at that sort of price range. So if you walk down, so we're in Brisbane right now, and the main sort of nightlife areas, the Valley, Fortitude Valley, for those who know Brisbane. It was very loud, sorry.
It was very loud.
And the Valley is really cool and really fun, but almost without fail, 90% of the music that is playing there is the same like acoustic covers. And it's like, there's like a rotation of like 10 musicians that just do their acoustic covers. And don't get me wrong, they are fantastic musicians. And they have earned the right to play their music live. I think it's really cool what they're doing. But if you're looking to find underground music, it is not as easy to find it through that sort of avenue. Okay? And it bugs me. It bugs me because I came to, there's so many bands in Australia that are of that sort of level that are incredible. But I think maybe it's the scale of the country means that touring is so much harder. So if you're not like a local musician, then you either have to have the money to travel to tour other cities, or you become like a little, you sort of become trapped in your hometown. And I think that's where some of these musicians maybe come from, is because they can't really afford, because it's such a big country, right? It's nothing like the UK. So they can't afford to every night of the week be in a different city playing a different show. So they have to get an agreement maybe with certain venues that they'll come back every other week. Because otherwise, how else are you going to make a living as a musician?
No.
And it bugs me, I'm not going to lie. But on the other side of things, Australia has a lot of big gigs, because I think when bands come to Australia, they make a big point of it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have, regardless of what I'm saying, actually managed to find some really cool underground stuff.
Yeah.
Through some avenues that I think you are better to talk about than I am.
Yeah. Well, are you done? Is that your point?
That's my main complaint that I wanted to open with.
I disagree.
Oh.
I disagree because, no, I see what you're saying. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think you have to fight a lot harder to find the underground stuff in Australia. In England, you, like in Bristol, for example, you can go down the street and you'll find those venues, and they're everywhere. They're in the main strip and they're not hidden. And it's a very vocal crowd. Whereas in Australia, you were just saying when you walk down the Fortitude Valley strip, and it's all those acoustic musicians, which is true, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's true. But I thought that was the case too. And then when I went to Big Sound, there is a ton of super cool underground venues, and they are really hidden away because it's a big city and it's that area is, you know, it's urban. So everything's on top of each other. There's really cool venues that are like overground, underground, on the main strip, but you just walk past them because they don't from the outside really look anything remarkable, and then you go in and it's really cool. I had that experience, and going to Big Sound made me reevaluate that, because I thought it was such a shame that there was no cool underground places. But yeah, I've kind of taken that back. I think Tomcat is sick. That's kind of an example. That's a very like Bristol-y venue. I'm getting quite specific now. I'm getting very specific.
If you don't live in Bristol or Brisbane, no one's going to clue what we are talking about.
I'm getting very specific, but just to make it more broad, I agree. I think it's a lot harder to come by, like the underground and the alternative scenes here.
Yeah.
But I think they are there, but I think they're harder. I think this is also similar to what I was saying recently. I've said this to you a couple times. I think that clubbing is worse in Australia.
Oh gosh!
I think bars,
that's a whole can of worms.
I think bars are better, not necessarily better, but I think so. This is what it breaks down to, right? With bars, there's a lot of variety. Like how we were just saying on the strip, the underground venues are kind of hidden away. There were really cool, like edgy, like alt rock bars that are just out, like Empire.
Like Netherworld took us, so that was a really cool one that we found. But it took us a while because I had to get someone to show me because it was just outside of the city enough.
Empire's like on the strip though.
Yeah.
And same as Ken's, there was like an alternative bar just off the main road. I think bars, there's loads of variety. That's where you would find your really cool like rock, not venues, but I think you'll find those really cool alternative bars.
Like that kind of scene.
You'll find that scene really easily in bars. Clubbing, however, is, unless we're going to the wrong clubs, apart from Greaser, but that's the only alternative we found in Brisbane. But we have not tried that hard.
True.
But yeah, I think with clubbing in Australia, it's a lot more mainstream. Whereas in England, going out, it's a lot of like spoons, decent bar. But the clubs, if you want to go, that we're talking from our own like experience because we really like alternative music, rock music. That's so easy to find. Like there'll be in any city with a good night out, there will be like a few to choose from.
Yeah.
Whereas in Australia, it's not as much. But I think the places we've lived, we've either not explored that hard, or it's been a small place like Cairns, which is like fair enough. It's a pretty small city.
I think this kind of opens up a can of worms because I think it'd be interesting to talk about as well the sort of where Australian music taste lies.
Yeah.
I think this is vast generalization. It's a vast generalization. So let me get that clear. Like this doesn't come for everyone, and I'll need to elaborate to make sense of this. In the UK, I think people have wider tastes in music. I think everyone, pop is pop for a reason. It's popular pretty much anywhere you go. Okay, I'm not pretending that England isn't into pop. Of course it is. But I think everyone in England still has like a little niche that they'll lean towards. Yeah. Like you'll still get people who are all about their pop music, but they still hold on to like their things like their punk rock from the 2000s that they really like, or maybe some of like the sort of
like
more
reggaeton or something.
Yeah, things like that. Like there's actually and D&B and all that sort of stuff. Like there's a big sort of bleed into other genres in the UK. Yeah. Whereas I think in Australia, it's a little bit more restricted.
I agree.
But on top of that, they still have weird niches that nowhere else does. Australia cannot get enough of its country music.
I knew that was where this was going.
Oh my God. I think to preface this...
But I think this is from quite a limited... Like, it's not like it's on all the time. I think we've just had a couple of like events we've gone to where it's been playing.
I'll put it this way. You walk into a supermarket, you hear the same songs as you do when you walk into generic restaurants.
Disagree.
I've heard it. I used to work at a restaurant that had the most generic...
Speak for yourself. That was an independent place, so...
Yeah, well, they were forced by bosses that didn't understand anything about music to put on a playlist that literally consisted of like classic pop hits, aka the best of ABBA album, accompanied with depressing, really depressing acoustic music. I'm not talking like all acoustic music depressing. I mean the sort of acoustic music where it's like a man crying whilst he plucks one string, like that sort of depressing. And then accompany that with really, really, really awful 2010s pop. I don't mean like awful as in like, oh, this is popular and bad.
Yeah.
I mean pop that wasn't popular. Pop that was not even good enough for the general public.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like Elton John songs that he made in 2018. That's the sort of level we're talking. Yeah, I know.
That's brutal.
And Australia just has this obsession, just particularly with country music.
Well, yeah, because of all the farmers.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does add up. But
I think it's not quite as bad as you think the problem is. But it's true, and also we don't really hang out in those circles, and we still hear it enough.
Yes.
So you can imagine what it would be like hanging out in like Bundaberg.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know what other
Mackay.
Like Mackay or something.
Yeah. I think another important thing to preface this is that we are pretty alternative. We probably should have started with this.
I mentioned it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if you're new to the show.
Thanks for listening.
Anyway, but if you are new to the show, then yeah, we are very much into alternative rock, alternative like hip hop, the stuff that.
But we do listen to everything, though.
Yeah, we are very open. Like we'll talk about 2000s pop all the time because you know we love a lot of that stuff. Like the early 2010s as well, because that is stuff we grew up on.
Yeah.
So like it's still like we're not snobs. We're not pretending that like if it's got over 1,000 listeners on Spotify, we're not going to listen to it. No. We're not like that. But I think that what excites me, and I know excites you as well, but I don't want to speak for you, but what excites me is like discovering new underground alt music. And that's what I think the show will probably be quite focused on. Yeah. And Australia hasn't been until Big Sound, which I think you should talk about.
Yeah.
It wasn't great for that. But then came Big Sound.
Yeah. And that was, that is the point of Big Sound. It is, before I go into detail, basically, Big Sound with our lovely sponsored cups here.
Cheers.
Is a festival that takes place here in Brisbane, and it's annual. And it takes place in the Valley. It's like Dot to Dot in Bristol/Manchester, if you've ever heard of that. Basically, all of the venues in like one small radius will just open the doors, and you'll have gigs simultaneously all night in all of the venues. And you can just hop back and forth, see who you want when you want. You can camp all night in one venue if you want, or you can hop back and forth. It's kind of up to you. I think though those format of festivals are really cool.
They are awesome.
Dot to Dot is similar, and it's the same premise. It's just an English festival. That is awesome, and I think it's a really cool way of discovering new bands and new venues, because as I've mentioned like 3 times now, that's how I discovered all those really cool venues down in the Valley. Okay, so Big Sound, we've been circling around it for the last 10 minutes. Basically, we've got a little cups here.
Cheers.
Not Spawn. Big Sound is an annual music festival that takes place here in Brisbane. If you've heard of Dot to Dot in Bristol and Manchester, it's the same premise.
Yeah.
Where
I'd say there's one. Well, yeah, I know you'll go into it, but I think
there is a slight difference, but it's the same format. But basically, where all the venues in like a small radius all open their doors at once, and there is simultaneously music on all of the stages all night. So if there's one bar you really like, you can just pick it and camp there, or you can just hop around. It's free to everyone. It's cool.
It's really awesome.
So the difference between that and Dot to Dot is Big Sound is actually, it has the function, and its function is that all of the artists are playing, they're not just playing sets, they're playing showcases, where if you don't know the difference, a showcase is, it's akin to a job interview, really. To de-industry it, it's like you would play. So the difference between an artist just playing a gig and a showcase is that in a showcase there's record labels, potential managers, agents, publicists, like whoever, all of those people would be there, and you're performing to really sell yourself to them, to get them on your side, to help you out.
I think it's not like, but it's even more than that, because it's not just
there's radio people, there's magazine people like me. That's why I was there. I was representing Scenester.
Because it's like it's not like, so people like that go to gigs all the time to scout out talent, but I think as well, as you found, like when you go on the website, people will literally list the roles that they're looking for. Like if they need a manager, if they're looking to get a deal with a record label. So then those people will go like, okay, well, this band sounds interesting. I know that they're looking for someone like me. Then they go to it. Like it's almost as much for the industry, isn't it, as it is for the public.
It was interesting because I didn't quite realize how much it was an industry thing before I went.
Yeah.
I sort of discovered that as I went along. But I would say if everyone, well, judging by the people who had like the VIP passes, which anyone can buy, but obviously most people who had them were industry people, it was probably more industry people than non-industry people. Tickets are open to everyone. Anyone can go, and loads of normal people, non-industry people, did go.
Yeah.
It took place during the week also, which is an interesting thing to note because it's literally like a working week for the industry.
Yeah, Dot to Dot's weekends, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Dot to Dot is also just one day, isn't it?
It is, but their premises is that they do 3 days worth of the exact same lineup in 3 cities.
Yes, so that's another thing. Big Sound was over, I think it was like Tuesday to Thursday or Friday. And there was a huge roster of artists, and they all played multiple times. Because again, about it being a showcase is it has to ensure that these industry people can hit everyone.
Yeah.
Or okay, not everyone, but you know, avoid any clashes. So some artists were performing 3-4 times maybe. But it was just really cool to attend. I was really lucky to get a press pass and be there as a reviewer, and it was awesome. Callum came along on the last day.
Yeah.
So you saw what it was about.
Yeah.
And it was really fun, really different to any other music festival I've been to, and it was very Australian in a lot of ways. I think it was very. I just think it was different to any kind of festival you get in England.
I agree.
And the artists and everything, I think, was different. It was. I'm gonna let you speak in a sec. My last thing. It was cool to have a very accessible industry festival because. So I was there on a press pass, and I just had my pass was like a basic wristband. However, this goes further than just being showcases. Big Sound actually is also they set up conferences, talks, the lot all day, and all the pubs and bars around. Industry people meet other industry people. People are literally signing record deals in the pubs in that area, and they have talks going on all the time. Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park was the keynote speaker.
So cool.
Cool. Really cool. And they have all kinds of talks. They had like a conference about women getting in the industry, about like, gosh, what was the other one? There was one really big one about, I think it was like the importance of TikTok to the music industry, which is kind of a sad topic. But it's, we can't ignore it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, it might be a bit upsetting, but yeah, it's the way things are.
It's the way things are. But my point is that anyone could buy passes to those things and network with all those people. And I just think it's a very interesting and different format. Yeah.
I think there's a few things I wanted to say about it. And feel free to jump in because you were there for 3 days, so you literally worked it. You know it in and out. Whereas I was only there for the last day, and I do regret not going all 3 days. Although it was also because of like work commitments, and I was just generally exhausted. And it is intense.
Yeah. Well, it was more intense for me than most because.
So this is something I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So there was 2 things that make up that, I think. So for those who know Dot to Dot or can just generally visualize and conceptualize what we're talking about when we say about these day festivals that like open up their doors in a city, those tend to be all day, right? They tend to be like starting around midday, 12 o'clock, and they'll go right on to like 10 or 11. So that is such a long day, but that gives you the time to have breaks, to take your own pace. When we go to Dot, which we've done 2 or 3 times, I think 2 times.
Go get a burger chicken.
Exactly. Burger chicken.
Yeah. Go get a burger chicken and eat it.
But it's true. Yeah. Literally, you just pop into a Subway, you pop into a kebab shop, and you just pick up some food because you're getting hungry, but you want to go see more bands. When we want to, we'll sit by the river and we'll have a sandwich. We did that last time, and because you've got the time. because it's so long, like you don't feel like you're running out of time.
Pressured, yeah.
Big Sound was quite intense because it started at 6 or 7.
Yeah, the first gigs are, gosh, I can't remember now. I feel like 6:30 or 7.
Yeah. So like if you want to see, if you want to get the same value out of your money, I'm saying that in quotations because it is good value, but it is, you have got a lot less time to see much more. But I'm not complaining because what I found is actually with your lead, having known some of the bands already and having a plan of who you wanted to see for your reviews.
And this was the 3rd day, so I actually knew like where all the venues were. Yeah. The first day was a lot of me like on my phone
figuring it out.
And
But with someone like you who knew the venues, knew some of the bands, so you knew some of the good ones to go catch already, and you also had a plan because you had people you wanted to review. Yeah. We saw so much music in literally half the time that I would normally do for a day festival, and I probably saw more music. Like I think I saw more bands, and obviously their sets were shorter because Dot to Dot does like headline in quotation marks. Because they do have headline acts and someone will headline the stage, but it's still like not a huge performance because it's meant to be the whole day is meant to be about every band having their chance to play. Yeah. But Big Sound really took that to heart. Like there was no headline performance. No one got more than half an hour?
Yeah, every set was 15 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes. It's like 3 or 4 songs really, wasn't it?
Gosh, now I say that sounds really short, but
well, I think it might have been longer, but I think we need to give...
They were all half hour. And what I was doing for most is I was doing 15, move on, 15, move on, 15, move on. And that would be being generous to give... Because, as Callum mentioned, it was very hectic for me because as the reviewer, I was having to hit sort of a minimum of like 8 bands a night.
Yeah.
Which when you're considering that's between the hours of 7 p.m, let's say, to 11 or 11:30, that's like 4.5 hours. That's not much.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I think I saw like 15 on my busiest night. And that was a lot of running back and forth.
But still, to just see that many bands and so many of them as well that you came away and told me about and now we listen to.
Yeah. And that's the thing is it sounds like, I think the thing that's easiest to think is, oh gosh, that sounds rubbish. What, 2 minutes a band? That's crap.
It's not.
But it's not. And it, if I wasn't working it, I probably would have taken the time more and hung around. But I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Well, we were saying about how we still enjoyed the bands.
I still enjoyed them and they still stayed with me. And I took loads of good recommendations. I met great people there who, like tapped me on the shoulder, scared me to death, but gave me tips of who to see. And those people I still listen to now are really cool. I think word of mouth is very big at Big Sound. Yes.
I was going to round things up slightly, so finish what you're saying.
That was kind of what I was kind of done.
So my final closing statement is I want you, quick fire, name some of the best bands and give like a sentence as to why they were good.
Okay.
If I was to answer this, who my first answer would be.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Shaw's Unusual Practice were awesome. Yeah, Quick Rex.
Quick Rex.
They were, can I swear? Are we swearing?
Technically, no, but I think it's fine to sneak some in.
I'm not going to now, but...
Try not to.
They were sick. They were awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah. They blew me
That was
away.
when Callum was with me. They were really cool post-punk. I'll link my review in the description.
Yeah.
Really
link all of them. Link all 3 of your reviews.
I'm joking. But yeah, really cool, energetic post-punk. Very Dead Kennedys with like synths. Awesome. Super high energy. First and only set I saw moshing at, which says a lot.
Yeah.
Full Flower Moon Band on the first night were fucking awesome. They were so cool. Like really gritty, dirty rock, but awesome riffs, really powerful, really cool, like female front man.
Yep. Female front man.
They were awesome. Oh my god, I can't remember.
Battlesnake
were sick. They were like Jackass would love them. To put it one way. They were like powerhouse, like 80s metal.
Yeah.
They were like it's sort of a homage to like King Giz, and they've taken it a lot further with their like storytelling metal side.
Yeah, that's really true.
A really cool one that I saw as well was Chaka. That's who I was trying to remember. I think I'm saying it right, but they were awesome. I got tipped off to see them, and it was the end of the night, and I was already squeezing 2 bands into half an hour. But someone literally tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "Hey, you should go check out this band." And I was like, "Okay." So I had to run, squeeze in those 2 bands, like 5 minutes each, and then I had to run across the strip to this other venue. And they were so cool. It was 2 Indigenous guys, and then the third member is from the Dandies, which are an Australian really cool alt rock band. I really liked them. They also played a big sound, and their guitarist is a member of Shaka. So he's just sort of there vibing, and then it's these 2 Indigenous guys, and they play with like there's a lot of like cultural instruments like the didgeridoo, if I'm saying it right. I think I am. And stuff like that, which it's just really different. It's like really cool hip hop, D&B vibe, super energetic. I loved it. Closing statement about Big Sound is that the variety was insane. You had really cool, like alt rock heavy bands with really cool riffs that I mentioned. But you also had really awesome Indigenous music showcased, and that's from like Indigenous hip hop. To like Indigenous soul and R&B. There was a medicine man who was like fusing cultural song with soul, and that was a really cool combination. And there was just so much to it, so much to discover, and it was just very impressive, very inclusive. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I think we'll be seeing even more and more of these kind of festivals. I think B will probably be going to more of them because I think it's definitely such a great way to see so much music so quickly and to discover actual like up and coming. Like it really does prioritize small acts, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's a lot more flexible than these like the big traditional festivals that aren't, you go, you commit.
They're fun. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
That's an experience, but the fact that you could see so much more music in like a day.
Well, I wouldn't say more, but
potentially
you could see the same amount. Yeah, potentially, but at Reading you could run from every stage if you wanted. But yeah, it's the freedom. Yeah. Really, but I think we've talked about that quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it's time
I'm sure we'll come back to it.
It's time to introduce something.
New feature.
Something that we never did on radio.
I think we did a bit.
No, I don't think we actually did.
Really?
And that is, for those wondering, for those who are biting their nails in anticipation, again, we're going to play a quiz. Now, we're starting basic. I think we're going to try, we'll mix it up. Like, it won't always be the same, but...
we have our professional question cards here.
I think it's something we're going to do pretty much every single week. And if you guys have any ideas or game recommendations, like things we could play, let us know. Obviously, with just 2 of us, we have to both be able to play, which makes it a little bit difficult. But for this week, we decided to do a quiz.
Yeah.
So we've picked each other. Am I right in saying it's 4 questions with a bonus question?
A tiebreaker, if you will.
Yes.
Also, just to note, there is a point to this as well. Whoever wins will get to pick the closing discussion topic.
Yes.
So there is a goal.
Yeah, and we're going to keep tally of the winnings. Yes. And then...
we'll keep an overarching tally of all the wins.
And I think if we find a way to sort of segment it up into like seasons or something like that, then we can have little rewards or little... on either rewards for the winners or we do punishments for the losers. We'll figure it out. But let's start off with this quiz.
How are we going to go down the whole list, or are you going to do question by question?
Let's do question by question, taking turns. And for reference, because
we've just come up with these questions.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if we have picked the same ones.
Well, that's why we have the tiebreaker.
What if the tiebreaker is the same?
I don't know. We haven't really figured that far ahead.
Yeah,
I guess it's just a draw, I guess.
Boring.
But we have themed all of these around Australia. Haven't you?
Yes, I was just checking. I wrote these questions like a week ago, so I completely forgot.
These are all themed around Australia.
They are.
But
to celebrate, this is the overarching theme of this
of this episode is Australia.
Is Australia and Australian music. So yeah, they are themed.
But I haven't made them so hard you can't get them. I think you can.
The bonus one might not be. I might have forgotten by the time I got to the bonus.
Okay, who wants to start? Shall I ask the first question?
Go on, take the first shot.
All right, now you should get this, okay?
I thought I'm going to embarrass myself.
I'll ask the question first, and then if I think you're struggling, I'll tell you why you might be able to get this.
Mm-hmm.
Which legendary US rock band performed at the AFL final? So for those who don't know, AFL is Aussie rules, Aussie football.
Which AFL final?
The grand final that we had
This year.
The one we had a couple of weeks ago. Well done, it was Kiss. Well done.
I know it was Kiss.
That's why I said you should know them. I picked them so I think you can get them.
I know that you've written some hard ones though.
No.
So
no.
I knew that one.
Well done, you got 1 point.
What year was Men at Work's Down Under released?
Oh my god, that's so hard. Oh my god.
No, it's not. Is it?
85.
I'll give you a second guess.
How close am I?
You're close. You're very close.
87.
Wrong way.
No!
1981.
81.
81.
I thought it was later than that.
No tally for that one.
It's not fair.
Why don't we just leave the pen on the table and we pick it up?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. As of this recording, how many albums have King Gizzard officially recorded and released?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Can I just read my question? Question 2. How many albums have King Gizzard released?
I knew! Studio and live. So that's different.
I was going to tailor it though. I was going to have like both, or just to make it easier, just like one or the other. Okay, well that's void.
Yeah, there goes that one. For the people wondering,
I told you that one.
The people wondering, official studio albums is 24.
Would you like to know the amount of live albums?
Yes.
Live, not live.
I know of.
Do you want to? I'll ask. I can still ask you that if you don't know.
I know of 2 live albums. Chunky Shrapnel is a live album. Okay, actually, it depends if you're counting the bootlegs. Are you counting all of the bootlegs? So they did a massive tour around 2019, 2020, and loads of the shows were recorded and then released as bootlegs. So if you're counting them, it's going to be something like 35, 40.
Would you like
total.
To hear the answer I have down?
Yeah.
16.
Just live albums? Fuck, yeah, okay. That'll be because of that run. I went to one of those shows. I was there at Ali Pali. That's one of them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I think they get the track listing wrong. Just saying.
Really?
I've looked at it. I'm pretty sure it's wrong.
Question 2 is void.
Bye.
I knew that was going.
I knew that was going to happen. I'm so glad you suggested an extra question. Shall I ask?
Is it my turn again? No, you.
No, I'll ask the one that was instead of that.
Okay.
Which major Australian city do psychedelic porn crumpets originate from?
Huh?
How the hell do you know that?
Yes!
How the hell do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? Yeah, I know, but I don't think you...
Yes!
Damn it. Yeah, well done.
I feel like you'll get this, because I've mentioned this a lot.
Hit me.
People are listening with headphones on.
Sorry.
Ray Fiennes. Question 3. Who did Michael Hutchence write In Excess's Suicide Blonde about?
Oh, God.
You're going to kick yourself because I've told you this so many times. So many times I've told you this story.
Suicide Blonde. Oh gosh, is it? I'm gonna say. Okay, basically, I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, I am gonna guess. Oh my gosh, what's she called? Oh God. Right. for context, so that this isn't dead silence, I'm trying to think of the really famous pop singer from Australia, and my head keeps saying Britney Spears, who is not Australian. But I think she's Australian. She is. Yeah, I think I know who it is. What is her name?
I can't wait to tell you.
Oh my gosh, what's her name?
Do we have a time limit?
We should do.
You've 1 minute. You have 1 more minute.
1 more minute?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it begins with a K.
I'm going to need more than that. I can't give you it on
Does it begin with a K?
Does it begin with a K? The clock is ticking.
Kuala Lumpur.
No, it's not Kuala Lumpur. That was not who he wrote Suicide Bomb.
Okay, I might have to give up because this is going to take
You
too
give
long.
up?
No, I don't give up. I think I can get it, but I can't think of who it is.
You're going to be so angry.
Yeah, I know.
Kylie Minogue.
I knew it! I knew it! I was going to say she's from Neighbours. I was going to say that. I was going to say it. Said it was K. I said it was K. I went for Kuala Lumpur instead of Kylie Minogue.
So that's more likely than Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Oh dear.
This isn't looking good.
Not looking good, is it? Go on. Wait, hang on. Sorry. Can we just backtrack? Because that was my third question. I didn't ask you the replacement for my second question.
Okay.
We discussed it, but I didn't actually ask you it. This is irrelevant. Ask me your question, and then we'll...
I'm so confused, but okay.
Just don't worry.
Okay. Your next question. What is the name of the series of covers hosted by Triple J? They are. It's similar
something
to
Sessions.
It's similar to the BBC Live Lounge.
It's something Sessions, isn't it?
I'm not telling you because that will give it away.
I know it is. It's like something Sessions. Is it like? It's not like Sunday Sessions, is it?
Is that your final answer?
No. Does that mean it's right?
Is that your final answer?
Oh my god. Is it Sunday Sessions?
No. It's not Sessions. You're thinking of Spotify Sessions.
What is it?
It's like a version.
Oh my god, I knew that.
Yeah. Like
you just want to explain what Triple J is to the people?
Oh, for anyone, well, I think most people know what Triple J is. It's pretty big.
Some people might not.
But for those who don't, it's the biggest Australian channel. If you're not from Australia,
radio station.
Yeah, sorry, radio station. Sorry. But even if you're not from Australia, you probably have heard of it, even if you haven't realised, because like a version is, like I said, it's like BBC Live Lounge.
Yeah.
And there's lots of famous covers that are done through it, where a band will take either a funny song or a song that's really not like them. I think the most famous one is Denzel Curry did a cover of Rage Against the Machine, and it's awesome. Check it out. It's Bulls on Parade. It is so good, and it's things like that that are like really cool. Yeah. But yeah, they're like an alt rock kind of station.
But they're like the number 1 radio station in Australia. Really, they're super popular.
Probably.
Even though they play alt music, like they're extremely popular.
Yeah. What's your question?
My question. I am now actually, because I realised I didn't give you my my tiebreaker. So my tiebreaker to replace the one that we both wrote. Which Disney film homages?
You love that word.
I do like that word. Which Disney film homages the band who are often referred to as the most famous of all time?
What? What?
I don't want to name the band because I think that will make it too easy for you.
Sorry, say the question again.
Okay. So the question is the Disney film is what I'm looking for. So which Disney film has a homage to the most famous band of all time? Who is the most famous band of all time?
Well, it could be Queen.
Who is the most famous band of all time, probably, in the world?
Like ABBA?
No, the most famous.
Queen, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath.
The band.
Yeah, I'd say Queen. Queen is like the most widely recognised band in the world.
Maybe second.
Can you give me a bit of like an era? Can you give me something?
60s.
Oh, the Beatles?
Yes.
Oh yeah, of course it's the Beatles.
Yes. So which Disney film homages the Beatles?
Just to clarify, does the whole film homage them, or there's like a scene?
There's just a tribute.
Is it The Jungle Book? Yes!
See, I didn't want to give you the band because I knew you'd get it if I said the band.
I can't remember. Is it the Vultures?
It's the Vultures.
Yeah, it's the Vultures.
So the Vultures near the end are all meant to be a Beatle. The Ringo one has got is it the Ringo one or is it the George one? I think it's the George one that's got his hair cut. And they actually asked the Beatles to be in it. They wrote them as the Beatles, asked the Beatles to be in it.
And they said no.
Got a no. I think it was John Lennon that said no. I think he gave them he really shut them down. And they just
That's so funny.
Yeah, so they had to rewrite it slightly, but they're still homaging the Beatles. You get 1 point.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is technically my last question.
Mm-hmm.
I have got one I've thought up of as a tiebreaker question if needed.
Okay.
Because I think if you get this wrong and I get the next one right, I think we're drawing.
Okay.
This is quite hard.
Okay. Oh.
So following on from my last question about Triple J,
Mm-hmm.
who won the Hottest 100 in 2021?
That's so hard.
So,
Callum, that's
I've got
so
some
hard.
hints for you. I've got some hints for you
Okay.
because it is quite a hard question.
Okay, that's a hard question.
So your first hint is it was a Leica version that won.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of the most famous Leica versions from the last, however long it was.
Mm-hmm.
That's my first clue. Do you have any idea what it could be from?
I have something in mind, but could I hear another clue?
So my other clue is it's a bit of a meme.
Is it the Tame Impala one?
It is, but who did the cover? So it was a cover of Elephant.
The Wiggles.
Yes!
I remembered it!
Well done! Yes, it was the
remembered
Wiggles. Yeah, the Wiggles won 2021 Hottest 100 with their cover of Elephant. And it's great because it's like a Wiggles sounding elephant and then they just splice in fruit salad.
Oh yeah! I remembered. Yes!
Well done.
Thank you.
That's good.
I have one last question for you.
Hit me.
I feel like you're going to hate me, but you know this.
Oh God.
But
Okay.
I just think the way I've worded it is a bit weird.
Okay.
But I can't like the Beatles one, I just don't want to name.
Yeah,
original
okay.
Which Australian musician had a short-lived but extremely iconic international relationship in the 90s? Would you like to hear the question again?
Yes.
So name the Australian musician
Yeah.
who had a short-lived but very iconic international relationship in the 90s. Alternative.
In the 90s?
Yeah, alternative Australian musician in the 90s who had a very iconic international relationship. Iconic in the alternative scene. Would you like to know the nationality of the partner?
Yeah.
English.
English?
Yeah.
So which? Was the partner a musician?
Yes.
So they're both musicians?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think that's as much as I can give you, really.
Okay, so if it's the 90s, I'm trying to think of iconic 90s
I feel like this
relationships.
is quite a hard question.
It is quite hard. So iconic 90s
But Australia
relationships.
makes it quite niche.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because
So
it's iconic in the alternative scene.
So
it's really, really iconic.
I was thinking, right. The first one that comes to mind from the 90s is like Damon Albarn and
Australian though.
I know, that's what I'm going to say. It doesn't work. Don't worry.
Very short-lived, but you wouldn't think it was short-lived from how iconic it was. And there's songs about the relationship.
Really?
Yes.
By them?
Yes.
They wrote songs about their own relationship.
Yes.
Interesting.
Not together.
This does not help me at all.
You know it.
Oh, I'm gonna kick myself.
Would you like a clue?
Yes, please.
One of them has a song in Harry Potter. I'm not saying anything else.
Oh! I know it. I know it. Is it Nick Cave and PJ Harvey?
Yeah.
Oh, that is iconic.
I told you get it. I told you knew it.
Thank you. Nice.
Oh, hang on. I have to note that down. Who's won?
I think we're 2 for 2. Oh no, you're 2. No, you got 3. You won.
Yes.
Nicely done. Well
2 to 3.
done.
Thank you.
Pleasure doing the quiz game with you.
Till the next time.
Till the next one.
So, I'll just get all my debris off the table. I was ripping that one up as we were playing. If you remember from before, we said that whoever won got to pick the discussion for the last bit of the podcast. I've picked something that I don't think you'll have expected me to pick. Let me just get my my high quality notes here. I've picked something that I don't think you'd expect me to pick, but it's something that I've really wanted to talk about on podcast since it was announced, basically. Okay. I want to talk about ABBA Voyage.
Oh, wow.
That is my topic.
You have opened a can of worms.
This is my topic. So, before we get into it, I think I just want to lay down some facts. So, if you didn't know, ABBA Voyage is the what's the word? The reunion.
Yeah, reunion.
It's like the reunion tour that ABBA announced. Obviously, they broke up in...
She's done her research.
1982, December.
God, that was ages ago.
Yeah,
oh my God.
So they split unofficially in 1982. And they didn't, from then on, basically nothing. Obviously, ABBA has never not been popular. I think they had a bit where they weren't cool for a bit.
Yeah, they had a lull where they really weren't.
Yeah, cool. Obviously they weren't cool for a bit, but since we've gotten to clubbing age, they've are
come
very
back
cool.
so much.
Every club you ever go to, there's ABBA playing. So yeah, they split up in the 80s, never came back, and ABBA Voyage was their comeback that they announced in, I believe, 2021, but I'm just going to check. Yeah, 26th of August, 2021. They announced this. So I think there was build up. So in like the late 2010s, there was like rumors and discussions of like, oh, ABBA's cooking something up, like ABBA's in discussion with someone, blah, blah, blah. But it was 2021 when it was actually announced that ABBA Voyage, well, that was when the website was launched, and then it was announced just after.
Right.
So ABBA Voyage is the reunion. So ABBA Voyage, it was first advertised as like ABBA is back with their faces. And then it was confirmed. It wasn't an album, but it was a tour. And then it was announced that it was actually virtual.
Oh, God.
Virtual. And then they announced a new album along with it.
Did
called
they?
Voyage. Apparently so.
I didn't even know that.
But yeah, so the concerts are virtual. And the way they work is that basically all the band members spent a few weeks in the studio, and they wore motion capture suits, and I think they re-sung the songs, but not every site is clear on that. So they might not have re-sung the songs, but I think they did. But the undebatable is they put motion capture suits on, they filmed some new dances, they re-recorded them playing the instruments, performing. They motion captured them doing the whole set, the whole performance. And then the actual thing that you pay to see, which when it was announced, it was very expensive.
Very, very expensive.
You pay to see, they are not there. They are not there. They're not on stage. You're not paying to hear them sing live or watch them dance live. It is they're avatars of them. So wait, it's completely virtual. But when this was first announced, it wasn't super clear. It was just virtual tour, and I think the poster was something. This is from memory. It was something like their young faces and their old faces, and it's like, oh my god, that's so cool. I was like, oh my god, they're going to be singing next to the young version. I was like, that's sick. That's really cool. But no, it's just the young version. They're not performing, and they squeeze in 2 shows a day. In their custom-built temporary arena in London. But yeah, I think another thing to note, just to get more facts out, this isn't really anything to do with anything, but on the opening night, it was attended by all the celebrities, including Kylie Minogue, Keira Knightley, Kate Moss, members of the Swedish royal family.
The Swedish royal family!
And then, the 90-minute Avatar performance. And then ABBA came out, like actual ABBA came out for the curtain call. But
they hadn't done anything.
It only says that was for the first night.
They came out for a curtain call and hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
So what, they bowed for playing a video?
Well, a video is something they did a few years ago in the studio.
You don't have a director come out and bow for his film after you've watched it. Can I just... I
have one more thing. It was a live band. So the band is live. The music is live.
But is it them?
No, it's not them. It's like a live orchestra thing.
What?
So it's not them playing music live, but the instrumentals are live, the vocals are not live, and obviously the people you're looking at are not live. Go.
My opening statement is, if you went and saw this, you paid concert price tickets for a cinema experience. That is what you did.
There is a live band.
I don't care. It's not ABBA. That'd be like paying to see Guns N' Roses for Guns N' Roses prices. But you're actually watching a Guns N' Roses tribute band.
That's a bit harsh.
No, but it's the same. You are not watching ABBA. You're watching a video of ABBA
performing a few years ago in the studio. Performing years ago.
Yeah. Like. It's actually insulting. It's really insulting.
Cheeky. Yeah, because the way it was advertised when it first came about, if you didn't research it properly, it just looked like they were coming back. And then
I thought it was.
Yeah, well, that's what everyone thought. And then it was like, oh my god, they're going to be. It's virtual and they have avatars and stuff. That's so cool. Oh wait, they're not there. Oh, and they're squeezing in 2 shows a day to get double the sales.
That's horrible.
Because they're not even there. So it doesn't matter for them.
Doesn't matter for them. They
put 100 shows a day.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me. I'm at home.
Once the venue is cleaned up, they just put on another show. What's stopping them?
No.
There's no voice fatigue. There's no actual lives they have to get on with. Yeah, they're not there.
They're not there.
They're sat in Sweden or wherever they live now.
I think it's
taking in millions probably from this.
Yeah, it's really astonishing. And I think the prices have gone down a lot now because it's been like 2 years. But I remember when it first was announced, it was hundreds for a ticket. I think the best ones you could get were like over $1,000. And it went down from there. Do
you know what's amazing is that theatre actually nearly pulls off that level of performance, right? They put on shows like 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day when they have a matinee performance. Like theatre is incredible, the stuff that those actors and those singers do. But that's because they work day and night. They work themselves to the bone to have voices that are capable of singing for that long or bodies that are capable of acting for that long and being on a stage for that long, for that much time. And they have long runs of being on and then they have time off to recover. These guys have basically said, screw you and your hard work and dedication. We're going to play a video and pretend that we are touring.
But no one talks about it like it's that, though.
It's outrageous.
Everyone. But, you know, the way it was received was as in, oh, this is amazing. This is the future of touring.
No, it's not.
The future of touring. It's the future of ripping people off.
Yeah.
Imagine if a comedian did a tour and then it was video.
It was a video.
Like, unbelievable. Why have I paid to be here? Like, obviously the music is live. The vocals are not live.
But can you
You're paying for their performance and their vocals. With a band like that, you are paying to see the members in person and you are paying to hear their vocals in person. You are not. You're hearing the orchestra. in person. Like,
if you want to get super pedantic about it, then every band will do a moment. Like, say, like Ozzy Osbourne when he goes solo. I don't know this for a fact.
What do you mean he's solo?
Now Ozzy Osbourne's solo, right?
Oh,
he's not Black Sabbath. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure that he'll probably squeeze in some Black Sabbath songs. Same as Noel and Liam will squeeze in Oasis songs, right? And I bet if you want to be pedantic, you'd be like, well, that's not Oasis, that's Noel Gallagher and his band. It's different, though. But it's like you're still listening to Noel Gallagher. It's something he has done, and it is an authentic. Yeah, it is an authentic.
It comes down to authenticity, is what I was going to say.
It is a slap in the face for music fans, ABBA fans,
to be charged that much because it's all under the premise of it's virtual, it's awesome, it's the future, and it's like, well, you're not there. And I think it cost them. I'm not reading this off my phone, so it could be wrong. But I believe it cost them about 140 million to like do the whole project.
They probably made that back in that one show.
Yeah, probably. Well, one day because there's 2 shows.
Yeah, exactly.
But that includes, I'm guessing, like the custom-built arena, which is temporary, but it's still there. It's been years.
It'll probably be used for something else after, won't it? Someone else will.
It's called the ABBA Arena.
Really? Really?
Yeah, it's called the ABBA Arena.
Insane, absolute insanity.
Yeah,
that's arena, just insane.
The motion captures, the everything. I think 140 million the whole project cost. And the prices have gone down, but I remember when they first announced it because everyone got hype, and then the actual tickets came out, and it was like, oh, it's like 500 a ticket.
Oh god,
like no one can go. Like, brilliant, well done.
It's just upsetting because I think ABBA had such a special place in people's hearts, right? Because they had people from when they were actually playing, like when they were actually a band. So you think about like them winning Eurovision, like the stuff they did off the back of that, getting famous. That's all cool. Then you have the fans that love them because of things like Mamma Mia and the musical and things like that. Then you have fans of them that just like their music.
Always around.
Yeah. And then to just be one of the biggest bands in the world.
Yeah.
To actually be like a liked and loved, a beloved band, and to turn around and say, screw you, we're going to take your money. And also, this is completely unrelated. I'm just rambling now, but they call it a tour. I mean, it's called ABBA Voyage, right? But it's being branded as a tour.
Yeah.
Which literally translates to going to countries. If you tour, you are moving around places, right? Like when they call like races like tours, it's because they go around the world on their races, and they do a race in like different countries. You can't call it a tour if it's a video being sent to different locations. If it's not you going, you're not touring. In the one
arena.
Oh god!
But yeah, let's get this straight. I think it's a really cool idea. I think all the ideas are cool, and I think the technology is awesome. I thought it was awesome, and I was on their side until I learned that they were not there. Apart from that opening night. Yeah. They're not there. And the fact that there's 2 shows a day, and they're not there. Because if they were there, it would be different. But they don't even care enough to have the time to come and be there.
I agree.
Because there's no performance and no effort. It's like, oh, we've done this amazing project. Okay, you guys just watch that. We're going to go home. You guys can pay to like go to that every day. I'm going to go.
And take your money, by the way, whilst I'm doing it.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't think it was done as a screw you. I think it was done as a like, oh my God, this is the future of performance, technology, blah, blah, blah. And then they've just done it, and I think it was done with good intentions. That's just got led astray.
I disagree. I think it was done with bad intentions, and they purposely used that as a way of saying, we haven't done anything wrong. This is just the future. Yeah. They know exactly what they were doing. They knew.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's be real. The agents and the...
Yeah, exactly. And that's who really calls the shots.
One performance, 1,000 shows? From them just doing that in the studio.
It's upsetting.
In whenever they recorded those motion captures. A few weeks of work for years of profits.
Do you know what really upsets me about it? So, okay, when you watch a band, okay, there is 2 ways it can go.
Well, it's live, it's real.
Listen.
Okay, I'm listening, I'm sorry.
When you watch a band, there's 2 ways it can go in terms of how it sounds compared to the studio. Either the band has incredible energy and what's the word? Performance.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but the band will put on an incredible performance, will have great energy, and it'll be better than when you listen to the studio recording. Yeah. Alternatively, because it's live, maybe there's a problem in sound, maybe there's something that's not quite right, maybe the mixing's not quite right. It happens a lot with smaller bands, right? Maybe it won't sound as good as live, but because you have paid money to go see a band you love, you don't care that it doesn't sound perfect. Because what's special is that you are watching your band that you love. A band that you are willing to spend money and spend your evening watching because you enjoy them, you respect them, you love them, whatever it might be. But the point is that it's an experience to see a band, right? Regardless of whether it's better than the studio or worse than the studio. This is just going to push people further towards, well, why does it not sound like the studio version? Why don't we just record this in a studio and then play it live? Because this is like, there's this overarching like lean towards perfection. Things have to be like as good as they can be. It's like overproduction that you get in today's pop, you know, where everything is so clean and like perfect, and you don't get all the like noise and stuff that you used to get with like the 90s and the 2000s, and obviously way further back. But even then, like I think that's why pop from those eras will last longer.
Authentic.
Yeah, because it does feel real. It doesn't feel like it was made in a factory. And I'm not saying that in terms of the music playing with fire. I'm not saying. So when you listen, like let's take something like hip hop for example. All right, old school hip hop played on effects you could make by fucking things up. Yeah, scratching and things like that were like the defining sound of like 90s hip hop, right? And that is literally you in real life moving a record player, a record in a way it shouldn't move to make a really cool sound. Yeah, you're basically breaking stuff because it ruins records, but it does a really cool thing, and you make good music with it. And then you get nowadays, and it'll probably be done through an effect on a computer, and that's fine. Like it makes more sense to do stuff like that. But it's less authentic. It's less authentic. Yeah. And the problem with this is that it's not a small band trying to make it, so they made a smart decision for themselves. It's one of the biggest bands in the world. Yeah. That just said, "Screw you. We're gonna take your money, and we're gonna do nothing for it, and we're gonna set a precedent." Yeah. That will probably click.
I think having your younger selves perform your songs that were famous that long ago is really cool. But you should be there as well in at least some capacity.
If it was like Gorillaz.
It's not live. Yeah, well, there you go. Gorillaz have played around with holographics for their whole career.
That's cool.
Every single time, all of the band and all of the performers, barring like a few small collaborations, and Damon, most importantly, has always been there. The band has always been there. Damon has always been there. Big rappers have pretty much always been there. Just sometimes maybe a few verses will be like pre-recorded because every single Gorillaz song has a feature artist on it pretty much. Yeah. So you cannot bring 30 artists on tour just to feature on one verse of one song. But yeah, that shows the effort into producing like holographic performance, which is authentic. And yeah, I just think with the ABBA thing, I think it boils down to a cool idea that was obviously used as a money-making scheme. And if they hadn't done the 2 performances in a day thing, I would maybe believe that it was for authentic reasons. But squeezing in 2 performances a day, I think, is such an obvious way of just getting money out of it.
It's just cheap. It's just I think it's cruel as well to the fans and to other musicians because it sets a precedent that not everyone can keep up with.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to it. I think there's a lot of nuance. And I think some people will really disagree with us.
They might do. And that's fine. If people disagree with us, please let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts on it.
If you disagree with us or you want us to talk about anything else next time, then please do let us know. If you've watched this far, then thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening in.
For watching the first episode of the radio show Reborn.
From the ashes.
From the ashes, and watching the sunset with us. It's dark now. And yeah, just thank you so much if you've watched this far. Yeah. We're going to try to keep to a good schedule once a week if we can.
Try and keep it to once a week. We will, this will go up on a day and that will probably try and be the day. To be confirmed.
We'll keep things updated on our Instagram as well, Talking Tunes Official.
Yep.
It will all be linked in the description.
Yes.
And yeah, that's about everything from us. Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.
And especially if you used to listen to the show, then thank you for coming back. And if you're new, then thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.
This was Talking Tunes. I'm Jenny.
I'm Callum.
And and anything else?
See you on the next one, I guess.
See you next time. Thank you so much.